Is beefed up in European cities this morning after the Brussels attack. Major cities in the U.S. are also stepping up security here. Jeff Pegues is in Washington. He's following that part of the story. Jeff, good morning.
Gail, good morning. Just got off the phone with a U.S. official who tells me there is some concern this morning about accounting for U.S. service members who may have been in the area of where some of these attacks occurred. We're being told by this U.S. official that there is concern that service members may have been injured. They are checking on those reports. The situation they're telling me is still fluid, so they're checking hospitals, trying to get as much information as possible on people who may have been victims of these attacks, Americans, specifically service members. There is a special concern about a service member and his family who may have been in the area of these attacks. Again, the situation is still fluid. They are trying to account for all U.S. personnel. Here in the U.S., federal officials say they are monitoring the situation. They are willing to help when called on, and that is what we have seen since the Paris attacks. This effort to share intelligence and to break down any sort of walls so there is better communication among intelligence agencies, not only in the U.S., but the U.S. coordinating with officials in Europe as well. Here in the U.S. at major cities, you may see enhanced security at major transportation hubs. We're seeing that in New York City as well as in D.C. Gail?
All right, Jeff, thank you. Earlier we talked with CBS News senior security contributor, that's Michael Morell, who is also a former CIA deputy director, and Juan Zarate, our senior national security analyst. Michael Morell, we had a statement from the Belgian Prime Minister who says, what we feared has happened. We were hit by blind attacks. Can we call these blind attacks when they were on a heightened security alert, and that this comes 3 days after the arrest of Abdeslam, where they said they were expecting more attacks?
Gail, I had two reactions to what happened this morning. One is it's a reflection of how large, how compartmented, how sophisticated the ISIS terrorist capability is in Europe. After the Paris attack, the investigation showed that these individuals had sophisticated bomb makers. They had bomb-making locations. They used cell phones individually, one at a time, so they couldn't be tracked. They had forgery capabilities to use passports to move back and forth between Syria and Iraq and Europe, so very sophisticated capability. That's part of what you saw today. The other, I think, is the fact that this particular attack, I believe, was something that they had in train, something they had worked out, that they accelerated given the arrest of Salah Abdeslam last Friday. He was probably aware of this. They were probably concerned that he was going to talk to authorities, and they moved this up. Those are the two things that struck me this morning.
Michael, what does it tell you, too, about their choice of attacks, the train station and the airport?
So I mean, they want to attack places where they create the most fear, right? So where people congregate, every day and go about their daily lives, at airports and in subways, is the perfect place for them to conduct an attack because it creates the most fear.
Juan Zarate, why are Belgium and France such hot spots right now?
Well, Gail, you have long-standing pockets of radicalization outside of Paris, outside of Brussels. We've focused a lot at CBS on the Molenbeek neighborhood. These are decades worth of radical individuals who've been drawn to some form of the ideology that ISIS is now espousing. The problem, of course, now, Gail, is you have the ISIS accelerant. ISIS is now motivating actors, and as Mike indicated, now training them in sophisticated ways of operating, training them in Syria and Iraq, then deploying them back. And I think the one thing that's shocking to me is that you've had, in the wake of the Paris attacks, yet another sophisticated, coordinated attack right under the noses of European authorities when they understood that there were these plots unfolding and networks that were planning attacks. Keep in mind, Gail, that Belgian authorities had shut down the subway in November of last year precisely because they were worried about this kind of an attack.
This attack happened in Brussels, Juan, but the French president said this morning that the whole of Europe has been hit. Is he right?
He's absolutely right, and the French have talked about the fact that they feel that they're at war, and these are scenes that are reminiscent of a wartime environment, unfortunately. And this is a problem for Europe-wide, a problem for counterterrorism and intelligence officials who have to share information to understand these networks that are operating across borders rather fluidly. Pockets of radicalization in all of these countries that are contributing to the potential threat. And certainly a problem moving forward as authorities try to ferret out other cells and activities that may be a threat not just in Brussels, but in places like France and the UK. And so this is a European-wide problem, and U.S. authorities are going to try to do everything to help and certainly to try to uncover what may be unfolding in the coming days.
All right, Juan Zarate, thank you so